Hey everyone, Chris here and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my TBR for Quest-A-Thon. So Quest-A-Thon is a readathon that runs the entire month of July and it is hosted by Sahar from Basically Bookish Reads. I will link their channel and the announcement video in the description below if you'd like to check it out. This is a fantasy-based readathon, but you don't have to read fantasy for it, and we're separated into different teams. I chose Team Wizard, which is hosted by Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy and Christina from Christina's Chapters. This looked like a really fun, easy-ish readathon after the craziness that was Whatever-thon. And I was really worried I was going to slump, so I was excited when I saw this readathon was taking place because I thought it would be the perfect thing to help keep me from slumping after the insane number of books I read in June. And I was also excited when I saw that Cassidy was involved because I had promised her during Whatever-a-thon sprints that I would try at some point to be on her team for a readathon in the future, and then this one came up, and so I am on Team Wizards because of Cassidy. So, I have created my avatar, which I'll pop a picture of here, and this is what my wizard is going to look like. I was really excited that I could put a little squirrel on the shoulder because I love animals, so having a little furry animal companion made me very happy. And now I'm going to start on my journey. The first thing you need to do is to decide what weapons you are going to get. There are 4 different weapons, and each of them comes with a special ability that can help you throughout your journey. You can collect all 4, or you can only collect 1. I have decided to only go for 1 because it was the only one I really wanted to have at hand. So here is the prompt board for weapons. You have to fulfill 2 of the prompts on this board, and you are allowed to double up, which is what I'm doing after, again, the craziness that was Whatever-thon. So for this, I'm going to choose Reread and a backlist book by reading Aunt Dimity's Death by Nancy Atherton. I read this book ages ago, and it was published for the first time in 1992, so definitely a backlist book. This follows a woman named Lori who is struggling after the death of her mom and ends up getting contacted by a law firm to be told that Dimity Westwood has died. Unfortunately for Lori, she had no idea that Dimity Westwood was a real person. For her, Aunt Dimity is a character in bedtime stories that her mom used to tell her as a child. So she kind of has to put together the pieces of who Dimity was, how Dimity knew her mom, and what Dimity wanted from her by essentially having this law firm contact her after her death. I remember really enjoying this the first time I read it, and I'm hoping that I will enjoy it this time around as well. By reading this, I will have gained a weapon, and I'm going to choose the bow and arrow, which would allow me to skip a crisis. I believe each week there is going to be a crisis prompt that we have to do, and I figured this way I am covered in case it's something I am not capable of doing or don't feel like doing, or I'm too busy to do on any given week. So this is the only one that I really needed based on what they were. So this will get me my bow and arrow and will allow me to skip a crisis should I need to. Now, as we're on our journey, once we have finished collecting our weapon prompts, which you have to do before you start your journey, you have a very specific order you have to read the boards in. So the first board is the light board. Again, I will pop the prompts up here. And the prompts I chose for this are contemporary romance, and I'm going to read Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I have loved People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I'm hoping I love this one too. And I believe this is a enemies to lovers situation where we have a literary agent and an editor and they meet on bad footing, and then our literary agent goes to a small town with her sister and ends up continually running into our editor. And from there, I'm going to assume they fall in love, so, or have some kind of romance. Like I said, I've enjoyed her books in the past, and I'm hoping I enjoy this one, and I'm very excited that it was a contemporary romance and was easy to check off. Plus, it'll be very different from the books I read in June, so it'll be a nice palette cleanser as well. Then, once we finish the light board, we have to move to the strategy board. Again, here is my prompt board. And the prompts I chose for this are more than one author and part of a series, and I will be reading Murder on the Safari Star by M.G. Leonard and Sam Sedgman. This is the 3rd book in the Adventures on Train series, and in this series we're following a young boy named Hal who sets off on journeys on different trains with his Uncle Nat. Each time Hal gets on this train, something fishy happens, and he has to get to the bottom of it, and he is a drawer, so we get a lot of really cool illustrations that are based on his drawings. And in the first one, he had to thwart a theft. In the second one, he had to deal with a kidnapping. And Based on the title of this one, I'm going to assume he has to deal with a murder. I've really, really enjoyed this series, and I'm excited to get to book 3. For the next part of our journey, we're on the adventure board, and the prompts I chose for this one are last book in a series and a book without the words if, the, of, and, or in the title. For this, I'm going to read Dear Luna by Amber Crawley. This is the final book in the On Luna Time series, and as you can see, none of those words are in the title. This is a final book I hope to get to relatively quickly because I read the second book earlier in the year and I wanted to read the third book before I forgot all the details. In this series, we're following a girl named Vanessa who only met her mom once when she was like, I want to say 5, and ends up getting a letter from her mom on the verge of her 18th birthday telling her that at midnight on her 18th birthday, she needs to jump off of a local pier. She decides to do it and gets transported to the past and ends up learning a lot about her family history, where her mom has been, and herself. I enjoyed the first 2 books, and I'm very curious as to how this series is going to end, so it made sense to put this on my Quest-A-Thon TBR because it fit the prompts really well. Next, we move to the dark board, and for this, I'm choosing the prompts red on the cover and dark cover, and I'm going to read The Case of the Cryptic Crinoline by Nancy Springer. This is the 5th book in the Enola Holmes series, and I thought the cover gave me really like dark, spooky vibes, and it's a darker cover in general, and I don't know how well you can tell with the light, but there is red down here on the floor. It looks like the carpet is red, so I thought that counted for red on the cover. I've really enjoyed this series. It's a Sherlock Holmes retelling where we're following Sherlock's younger sister as she tries to stay one step ahead of her brothers who want her to be this well-bred, well-behaved young lady, and that's not how her mom raised her, and it's not the life she sees for herself, so she kind of ran away in book 1 and is trying to stay one step ahead of them, and while she's doing that, she's solving mysteries because she's a lot like her brother Sherlock in that regard. So I've really enjoyed the first 4 books in the series, and I'm looking forward to reading book 5. And then the last board is the final battle board, and the prompts I chose for this are 5 or more words in the title and sprayed or deckled edges, and for this I'm going to be reading The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro. So obviously more than 5 words in the title, and there are definitely deckled edges on this book, which I hate. I do not know anything about this book because it is one of my spring cover choices. I do a series on my channel where every season I choose 5 books on my TBR whose cover reminds me of the season I'm in, and this is one of the ones I chose for spring. I go into them blind to see if they're actually set in the season, so I don't know anything about it. Other than that, the cover gives me spring vibes. I'll link my spring covers video below if you want to check it out, but this is going to be the last book I need to read for Quest-A-Thon. So this is my TBR for Quest-A-Thon. I think it's quite the eclectic mix and should be a pretty easy read to get through. I'm very excited to get to all of these books, and hopefully I will love them all. If you are participating in Quest-A-Thon, I would love to know what team you chose and any of the books that you have picked out for the boards, because I'm curious to see how everybody else is choosing to fulfill the prompts. All of my social media, including my Discord, is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me an emoji that represents something you feel you would need if you were going on a quest. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!